Contact KMD Law.
Are you ready to change your life, but don't know how to start? Is your stress and worries keeping you awake at night? Have you been battling grief, anxiety, or depression all alone? Have you lost touch with your own sense of being or spirituality? Soul Free Therapies offers professional and affordable live video streaming counseling and coaching services from the comfort of your own home. Sessions offered in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Go to our website at www.soul-free.com and book your first session today.
Hey, check out our brand new sponsor, Dynamic Solutions 2. That's the number 2. They offer a life-changing, dynamic financial solution. The finest in fast, professional, affordable credit repair. Is your credit in bad shape? Do you need a new car? Ready to buy a new house? You want to rent an apartment? Are you going to apply for a job? Any one of these activities, they're going to ask for a credit report and then check out your credit score. Let Dynamic Solutions 2 erase your negative credit remarks. They have affordable monthly prices. They accept Visa, MasterCard, PayPal options available. You go to www.dynamicsolutions, that's the number 2.com, or call 424-888-2820. 424-888-2820. Now, if you enter promo code ED or you mention Ed Opperman, you get a 10% discount. How's that? You get a free consultation, all negative items removed, get back in positive credit position. Dynamic Solutions 2, life-changing dynamic financial solutions. 424-888-2820. Tell them Ed Opperman sent you. You get a 10% discount. PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with Pure Soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to send a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.
It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. We're here today with Ann Penn. She's author of several books about the Zodiac and about the East Area Rapist, Golden State Killer. We're talking about what if, Golden State Killer, Zodiac solved. So, Ann, the thread of your books is that you believe the Zodiac was DeAngelis. How do you come to that conclusion?
Well, there's a lot of information, as you can imagine. He was out there doing what he does for at least 58 years from my research. When you look back, and this is what I was doing when I originally started looking at it, was looking at for different crimes that might have been committed by DeAngelo, alleged serial killer, He, as far as I was concerned, probably started when he was about 15 or maybe even sooner, because a lot of times that's how teenagers, kids start. They have different. They know they're different from the time they're born. They keep to themselves the things that they think about and what they want to do. And one of the things that started happening were poisonings of dogs, and burglaries would occur. You can see different clustered attacks in different jurisdictions where he had ties over time. It was phenomenal. There'd be 16 dogs poisoned. Someone was throwing out patties of beef with strychnine and so on. And so you can see the movement from place to place. Let's say he was down in Southern California in Santa Maria, and then dogs would die, and then things would happen, different burglaries and different crimes. And then you'd see crimes again. He'd leave the area, go back to Auburn or Roseville, different other places, and he'd be gone for periods of time. And so he kept moving. So burglaries would occur. The things that were taken during burglaries never really changed too much over time. Even as the East Area Rapist, things he took seemed kind of stupid, really, to most of us. He'd take a piggy bank or a jewelry, but he'd only take one earring, that kind of thing. So the Zodiac, he was a different perpetrator from on the surface, in that he was not a sexual predator. He was a executioner, really. He killed couples. He killed them in cold blood, either by knife or by shooting them. And if you look back at crimes that began back in the 60s, there were crimes that were murders of couples all over the state of California in different ways. They were, killed by, again, shooting them from back in the day. There was a murder in 1963 of Bobby Domingos and Linda Edwards on the beach at Gaviota Beach in Santa Barbara County. And to this day, it's still unsolved, but you can't find it on the website anymore. But it's an unsolved crime of couples. And there were 7 murders in the 60s until 1970. And whenever D'Angelo was gone in the Navy, there were no murders on the beach in that same way. And so couples were a target of the Zodiac. They were a target of the Golden State Killer from the beginning of time. And so I think one of the things that he used to do was read the newspaper, look at what they knew about him and his crimes of burglary and so on. And he would also see engagement and marriage information. And there were many, many couples that had been barely married and were murdered. And that stood the test of time as well between the two perpetrators. And, of course, the Zodiac was only around for a year, basically. I mean, the communications continued, but there were no claimed murders by him after he left in 1969 and sort of wandered off into the dark. But what he really did was he wandered off to become the other personas, the Visalia Ransacker, the East Area Rapist, the Golden State Killer. And he told us, as a Zodiac, as he was leaving, that he was going to not announce what he was doing anymore, but he was going to continue to kill. And he said, "California, look out." And that's exactly what he did.
What about physical descriptions and these sketches? Do they match?
Well, no one ever really saw the Zodiac, not until the end when he left Paul Stein murder. That's when they had the composite. I compared the composites in my book to alleged killer Joseph D'Angelo. There's a lot of similarities in the description as far as he used disguises. And, of course, the Zodiac used disguises. So we have some similarities in the way that certain attacks happen. Composites were made of D'Angelo over time. He used glasses sometimes and not glasses. He used different disguises, even to the point of changing hair color and so on. And so if you look at the composites I've put in the book compared to the Zodiac, it's not a far stretch, especially when you hear that he was sort of paunchy at one point and had a round face, and so did the Visalia Ransacker. It's sort of like, wow, he's about the same height. He, wore military boots sometimes. There's a lot of things there's more things that are alike than there are that are different. And it's really not so much the description of him. It's the way he walked. I mean, there's just so many things that people have talked about that are the same as the Golden State Killer. And what's interesting is a lot of people originally thought it was Alan who was the guy because he had a round face and was kind of paunchy, and I think they might have even known each other at one point. D'Angelo was a diver, so was Alan. So what's interesting about the two personas is that they really were focused on killing the couple. Didn't take anything from them, didn't rob them, weren't there for that. Tried to make them feel like that everything was going to be okay, and then he kept ramping up the fear. The way that he tied them, he came to the scene with pre-cut ties. There were just a lot of similarities, not only in what he did, but what he said. He was going to go to Mexico. He was just going to, take the money, and he just everything was really, really similar in what he said. especially when he spoke to Brian Hartnell at Lake Berryessa in 1969.
You mentioned before ballistics. Has the ammo been compared between the Zodiac and the D'Angelo?
You know, one of the things that I would find really interesting, and I talked about it in the book, is that they compared, and I'm certainly must have, but, you know, again, I need more information. I'm sure most of us do. The ballistics that happened at the scene of the Domingos and Edwards murders in Gaviota Beach in 1963 were from a long rifle, and the murders of the first couple of the Zodiac victims were similar. So I'm curious to know what the outcome is of that examination between the ammunition that was used and the type of weapon from the Domingos Edwards murder and the first ones of the Zodiac. But the thing about D'Angelo in his murder sequence is, and they only talk about those 13 murders, is when he broke into someone's home and stole firearms, and then he later used the same firearm to kill Claude Snelling. You know, he was brilliant in that he would take firearms, use them, and then get rid of them. So it's harder to track what he did and with what, you know, over time.
You mentioned in these notes you sent over that the Sherry Joe Bates murder was not the Zodiac. How did you come to that conclusion?
Well, from recent information, I had tried to contact Riverside PD and talk to them, and also just in examining where he was, where D'Angelo was. And if you think D'Angelo is a Zodiac, then he was on a ship in the middle of the ocean and could not have killed Sherry Joe Bates. But what really makes the outcome what it is there was hair found in Sherry Joe's hand, and it was dark, curly hair. And, of course, they have a DNA profile from that, which was fed into CODIS, and there was no match in CODIS. And so they had to figure out whether or not, you know, he was ruled out. D'Angelo was ruled out as her killer, which for me means the Zodiac did not kill her. It was someone else entirely. And the person who did that, they have a full profile from, and it did not match D'Angelo. So what that means is somebody else killed her. And a lot of times, you know, the people who talk about that one is sort of like an outlier. That murder was sort of like, well, maybe it's Zodiac. And then he said, yeah, well, it was me. He claimed it. But the reality is that's not what the evidence is telling people. So, you know, he's been cleared as far as I'm concerned, and also from that particular murder. And also the thing is, the letter that was sent was typed. The things in the letter, anybody could have known. And so it just is not connected, in my opinion. And that I'm not the only one who feels that way. There are others who have done podcasts on that particular issue.
So it was like a copycat.
Yeah, basically, somebody was trying to take credit for that murder, and Zodiac was blamed. So, and he basically did take credit for it, although it wasn't him. The person who wrote that letter took credit for it. So it just, a lot of it, the letter that was sent did not make sense. I mean, there's no proof that anybody offered her help. There's no proof that, I mean, he could have just grabbed her as she's walking on the sidewalk for all we know. The reality is that her car wouldn't start. Somebody made it so that wouldn't happen. She was probably looking for help. But we don't really know what happened. We just know that she died.
So now,
brutally.
Your theory in this case is it's not the mainstream theory, right? How has the reaction of the true crime fans been to your books?
Well, I have had a couple of different reactions, essentially. One is full support from people who've read my book and who say, oh, my God, this is really compelling, and people who say, well, gee, I can't wait till they actually come out and announce that it really is the same guy, because then you can sort of stick your tongue out at him, because the reality is that they agree with me that it's him. He's the best suspect that we've come across, and that's what their opinion is. And of course, like I said, it doesn't